I know here we are 2 days out, and there's a lot of concern among everybody. There was a lot of rhetoric in the election, and there's a quote that I want to paraphrase that I've been holding on to that's sort of giving me hope. And this came from a New Yorker article, and it's been sort of going around on the internet. And it says that the liberals took Donald Trump literally, but did not take him seriously. The conservatives took him seriously, but didn't take him literally. And that we now all have to hope, we all need to hope that a lot of his rhetoric is not literally what he's intending to do as he goes forward. We're in a period now where there's speculation at every level as to what was rhetoric and what are really going to be policies that he's going to implement. As we're sitting here today, we don't have a lot of answers. But what we are going to try and do is tell you, at least, I have right in front of me his plan that was still on his website for what his immigration policies are. And some of these were pretty clear. He's going to at least take the first step towards. The first one is building a wall. Everybody heard about him building a wall. We don't know how or what he's going to do towards building a wall, but there will be something possibly. The second thing is he's ending catch and release, which means that under a Trump administration, anyone who's caught coming in would not be just immediately returned to their country, but supposedly put into some form of formal deportation. I think the most important thing that probably affects most of us is that he's planning on, and pretty immediately, I think, going in and removing all of President Obama's executive actions that relate to immigration. And that means that DACA will never come into existence, and that DACA will terminate. And I think what we want to talk about a little bit is what does that mean when DACA terminates? So he's going to be sworn in on January 21st, and we believe he may very well, on January 22nd or shortly thereafter, sign another executive order that repeals DACA. For those people who are currently have DACA, who have work authorization, that work authorization is most likely not going to terminate. We feel pretty strong that people who have work authorization at the time it's repealed will be able to continue with their work authorization until the time that it terminates. What you will not be able to do is extend it. Currently, you were able to get a 2-year extension, but after January 22nd, you will not be able to extend it. I think with the concern of most people, or what some of the misinformation that we've heard out there, is that immediately people are going to be put into deportation proceedings. And I'm going to let David talk a little bit about sort of the reality of that and what we are surmising at this point in time. And again, this is again based on just us looking at what has happened in the past, what he has said, and what is really realistic within our system today is what we think might happen.
So what we know is that the federal government has enough funds, they have enough resources allocated to deport about 400,000 people a year. And actually, under the Obama administration was the first administration where the government was actually able to get to that level. And so President Obama was pretty smart. He decided that we need to prioritize who we're going to deport. We're going to go after the worst offenders, the criminals, people who had, really made themselves unwelcome in the United States through committing crimes. And for everybody else who's kind of a normal person, there were different things available. One thing is called prosecutorial discretion. That allowed the government to look at one case by case and decide, maybe this one isn't so bad. Let's put them at the bottom of the priority list, and let's use our resources to go after the very worst. So there are 750,000 people on DACA right now, and it is true that the government has their names and addresses. But remember that we have about 400,000 people a year that the government needs to deport because they are criminal offenders. And so this would almost triple the number of people that the government needs to go after, which is impossible. There's no capacity to do that. So the worst case scenario is, and this, I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but it is a possibility the government could send notices to appear to the people that have DACA at some point in the future. Now, does this mean they're deported? No. Does this mean that there's a case been filed against them? No. What it means is that there is some intention to look at their case. So what would somebody do if they got one of these letters? Should they run away and hide, or shred it or throw it away? No. There will be a phone number on that notice. And they can use that phone number to check to see if they have a court date. And if they have a court date, they should definitely seek counsel. Whether it's a private attorney or somebody in a public interest group that's doing pro bono work, they need to get immigration representation. They need to show up at the hearing. The first hearing is what's called a master calendar hearing. It's just a hearing to set a date for the real hearing. Now, if all 750,000 people are served and our courts are already at full capacity, when will the hearing be? Probably in a couple of years. What could happen in a couple of years? There could be a midterm election where the composition of Congress could turn around a little bit. So the message that I wanted to tell you is that if there's a decision to use the list to serve people, that it doesn't mean that these people are going to have to leave right away. It doesn't mean that they're going to get deported right away. It means that the court system would almost be locked down with this overload of work, and everything would be delayed for a long time. And it also means that each person would have the chance to make his case. And everybody's case is different. Everybody has different things that have happened to them in their lives that might qualify them for a different type of immigration relief, separate and distinct from DACA. So everybody would have a chance to present that case in court in a couple of years, or maybe several years. And so the message that we want to give to you today is that if some of these bad things happen, they're not going to happen immediately. And that there are some proactive things you can do. Number one, work hard in school, get good grades. Because if there is going to be some type of immigration relief down the line in a few years, it's going to be for people that have accomplished something. Number two, don't get arrested. Follow the law. Number three, don't go too close to the border. Don't go too close to San Diego where there are immigration checkpoints. And if it's hard to get a job, and it might be, think about entrepreneurship. I've seen a lot of my clients over the years who it's been very difficult for them to find a job, but they've been able to start some small businesses and support themselves that way. And finally, don't give up and dream.